What's up? How we doing? Happy, I don't even know what day it is, right? Because the coronavirus threw off everything. Nothing is, time is not even a thing anymore. So, lucky for you guys, that just means I'm going to be making more videos, which is dope. And, because I have kind of not a lot else to do. If I can't go to the mall, like if I can't go shopping, I have to avoid large crowds, which can be tricky to do in a city like Los Angeles. We're going to be making YouTube videos. That's just what's going to happen, guys. All right. So, Dave and Chan in their class did a sort of an updated version of this. And so part of what I wanted to talk about, part of the reason I wanted to talk about it is because I think it is an important enough concept that gets talked about enough that I wanted there to be like an updated, publicly available video about it. And also I wanted to sort of break it down a little bit more than they are necessarily able to. Honestly, just because of the length of their videos, right? Their class videos on Thursdays, they are anywhere from like 9 to 13 minutes. That is not enough time to go into the kind of depth and detail that I would like to go into. So that's what we're going to do. So very, very broadly, what is the concept of 1% every 3 months? I don't remember. It's one of the people that they love. I don't know if like it's something. That's something that like Tom Bilyeu probably said, or like I don't know Ed Mylett. I don't know Gary V. One of the earlier guys had this idea of like went out there and talked about set smaller goals for yourself. The goal is not to go from 0 to perfect. The goal is slow incremental gains, right? James Clear talks about this a lot. But they started out with this 1% every 3 months because that was their frame of reference. That is what they do. They were like, yeah, that is what worked for us. That seems to be what the initial wave of people were working with. And again, I know that I've alluded to this in other videos, so if I'm repeating this, minimum apologies, but it's a very important concept. So that was their first wave, and then the class started getting going and people started booping and bopping and doing the things and making changes, and they're like, oh shit, this can go faster than that, right? So what I want to talk about is how to practically use this concept and adapt it for your needs, and to use it like to sort of to know when to use it as a useful rule of thumb and when it is maybe not as useful of a rule of thumb. So the first thing that I would say is if you are only progressing 1% every 3 months, I'm going to say you can do better. You just can. That's not even the bar is on the ground. That's like the bar is a worm that you have to either step over or walk around, right? Like, I do not think that 1% every 3 months is a useful heuristic, right? I understand why you want to set a longer term goal. I think it's fantastic. I think it's terrific. But the other part that I don't hate about it is that, especially when you are starting your process of personal growth, whatever it is that you're trying to grow, you're gonna have obviously peaks and valleys, right? So the growth progression, it goes like this, right? And it over time it trends upward, but day to day you could be trending downward for a week, or you could plateau for a while, right? I recently, I haven't talked about this a lot on this channel, but I struggled with weight loss throughout my whole life for a number of reasons. I was really, really skinny as a kid, then really, really chubby as a teenager, and then got skinny again at the end of high school, and then got turbo fat in college because I just drank all the beer. And then I got really skinny at the end of college, and then I gained weight in New York, and then I just lost a bunch. It was like it really has been like a yo. But like now I'm feeling good about where things are. But a bit why I bring all of that up is like when I moved to Los Angeles, I lost 10 pounds immediately, right? So I left New York and I was like 185, which for my height, I am not as tall as I seem. For my height, that was verging on the like, you are like solidly overweight for your height, especially given that it wasn't like, just a BMI chart from the internet. This is like actually taking body fat percentage measurements and being like, that's not great. That's not good. And then I moved to LA and then immediately dropped 10 pounds. Like within a month, I think within a month, I went down from 185 to 175. Just from partially the shock to my system, partially the ability to have, I'm going to say substantially better lifestyle habits, right? I moved here in the summer. It's really sunny. I could walk around a lot all the time, which I know LA, everybody drives everywhere, but I live in Hollywood. So I walk to the grocery store and I walk to the gym and I walk to the coffee shops and I walk to the mall and I walk to Target because it just is convenient enough. And I get my, 10,000, 5 miles, 10 miles, whatever in a day. And I have all of those, not just literal leg muscles built up, but like the mental muscle of, oh yeah, this thing is a mile away. Oh yeah, it's like a 20-minute walk. Yeah, that's fine. And being able to translate, okay, you can either drive for 10 minutes and park for 10 minutes, or it's like drive for 5 minutes, find parking for 10 minutes, and then walk another 5 minutes back to the place you're trying to get to. Or just walk for 20 minutes? Schmur? Right? Like, that's the calculus I was able to do, right? So I was able to drop 10 pounds instantaneously. And I was like, woohoo, we're doing the thing. And then I just stayed there. Like, whole ass flatlined after I lost that initial weight. Now, a couple of reasons for this. September was a tricky month. Some family stuff happened. Everything is fine. But I just was, my mental, when you commit to something like weight loss or fitness, especially like being in a new city, like it really does take a lot of emotional energy. So if your energy and mind and attention is diffuse and distracted, again, for entirely reasonable reasons, then it's just gonna be a lot harder to actually like commit to your goals, because committing to goals at first, it takes a lot of emotional energy. It just does. And this is something that I like about the 1% every 3 months rule, right? Is it factors in work that you didn't know that you had to do, right? The unknown unknowns, right? I think it was Rumsfeld talked about those, right? So like I went into this process, this journey, whatever, to be like, yeah, I know that there are going to be things about living in LA and losing weight and being part of the fitness community and doing that thing that are going to be challenging for me in ways I cannot foresee, but I don't know what they are. I have a general idea. I know that it's going to be in the realm of emotional work, but I don't, and it's going to be in the realm of like tribe validation and sensory, like, again, there's like a number of like vague concepts I knew I was heading towards, but I didn't know the specifics, and I didn't really know what I was sort of getting myself into, right? And I flatlined, and then I traveled in October. Whenever I go home to New Mexico, I eat like just nuts because the food there is fucking incredible. And then November and December are the holidays, and so it was like, okay, I did not set myself up for as consistent of success as I could have, right? Wasn't impossible. Wasn't like I totally, screwed up as the worst thing in the world. But like the way that the timeline worked out, it was not the best way. In Magical Christmas Land, I would have tried, right? It's why people do dry January or sober October, because nothing's fucking happening. And you can really like mentally commit and do all of the emotional work and do like deal with fucking whatever comes up as you're doing it, right? So we get back to January, and of course I gain a little bit of weight from the holidays because it's the holidays and that's just how it works. And so I come back to LA and I immediately lose my holiday weight and I'm back to my 175. And I'm just there for a month. I increase my workout. I focus on getting more rest. I focus on this and that. And I'm like, everything lifestyle wise, I'm literally doing everything right? I am getting enough sleep at night. I'm drinking a reasonable amount of water, right? Not an ideal amount, but like I'm not drinking soda all the time. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I don't even smoke weed. I barely drink caffeine. I'm getting 8 hours of sleep at night. My relationships and my boundaries, like those are cooking and trending in a really positive direction. I'm like, I don't, and I go to the gym, do strength training 4 times a week. I walk 5 to 10 miles a day. And at least one day a week, I'll do a big cardio day of like a 12-mile walk or a bigger hike or something. I'm like, what the fuck? And so then I finally went to a nutritionist, right? Because I realized I was like, okay, I am now no longer on a trajectory of 1% every 3 months, right? Because 1% every 3 months, right? I'm you know what? I should just rename this whole series Rolling with the Homies, because that's what this is, man. It's just rolling with the homies. And you got to remember, if you're not rolling with the homies, right, then something's not clicking, right? Because all of life is just rolling with the homies. And I was like, just like riding down the street with the homies, right? It was a pretty flat line, a little bump here and there, but like predominantly flat. There was no rolling with the homies. So I was like, okay, I've looked at all the things. And I was like, you know what? It's a food thing. And so I was like, all right, I guess we're seeing a nutritionist. I don't really want to. That is certainly not my favorite way to spend money on things, but like clearly if every other component of my lifestyle is in the 70 to 80th percentile, like it has to be food. So I spoke with her, and through a number of tests and whatever, we determined that my body has issues processing grain. Cool. No more grain for me, certainly for 30 days. Just as a brief aside, because I know this is a point of contention, the reason that I chose to see a nutritionist and not a dietitian is because I don't have any other health issues. And I looked at it more like a food scientist cooking class, even though it's like one-on-one. But I was like, you know what? I don't have any evidence that like I don't have diabetes, I don't have Crohn's disease, I don't have IBS, like I don't have anything where I would really need somebody with a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, like I just don't need that. And at this point in time, which is why I went to the nutritionist. But I bring that up in case anybody is listening and thinking about doing a similar thing. Talk to your actual physician, not a random guy on YouTube who likes making YouTube videos with funny thumbnails. Do not listen to him for fucking medical advice about your health, right? I'm just sharing my journey. This is not meant to be prescriptive. If the most I want to do is encourage people to get in touch with their bodies. That's it. Okay, caveat aside. And then after doing that, I lost another 10 pounds in about a month, about 5 weeks. And I was like, okay, now we're cooking. And now combining that with the workouts, I am now like I still have body fat that you cannot see just because of how the camera is framed. That isn't serving me. I don't care about getting rid of it necessarily for cosmetic reasons, but more for like, I just don't need 20% of my body mass to be fat. That's a thing that I can now start to work towards. And I bring all of this up because now my next, like now that I have like not cracked the code, but like now we're on the path. Now we're doing the thing. Now I can start to really think about, okay, what are my goals? 1% every 3 months, 1% every 3 weeks. Here's what I will say. Anytime you shock your system, you disrupt the central nervous system and it like gets shit activated and it's going to be a little tiring, but it's just going to make the body adapt in a different way. And you're going to see movement right away. Again, if let's say you do speak to a physician, a dietitian, a nutritionist, somebody, speak to a physician first before talking to other people. But like, let's say it's like, you know what? I think that you should just do Whole30. Don't be like crazy cuckoo banana pants about it, but like, yeah, see what happens when you cut out, grain and not all refined sugar, but like candy bars and alcohol and sort of like the go-to quick vices, right? Let's say that that's a thing that is recommended that you do by an expert. You're gonna see results really fucking quickly. If for no other reason than you're just shocking your system and it's like, oh, we gotta do things right now. Oh boy, right? So like, just know that, right? And then also be ready for the plateau, right? And I think that I think that really what I want you to take away from this, it's not as much about tracking the growth over time, because I think that when you're doing something that is really holistic, that is really like, long-term goals, right? Because like again, look, I am now solidly in my 30s. My metabolism is different than it was when I lost a bunch of weight when I was 22, right? So this is me setting myself up for the next decade of existence. And then look, probably when I'm in my mid 40s, I'm gonna have to revisit it. And that is fine. I am ready for that and prepared to do that because my body is gonna start to slow down at 40. Like it's not going to be the same body I have now, right? It just isn't. And so I think that when you're really, when you're trying to track these like lifelong goals, certainly, 5-10 year goals, whatever they are, like, I think that it's more helpful to track plateaus rather than incremental growth, right? And the reason I say that is because tracking plateaus, you can still have incremental growth, right? And sure, if you want to keep an eye on it and you're like, yeah, let's do every month, let's look back and sort of see where things are at, right? Don't care about things in the moment, just do the work, show up, and then look back and be like, oh yeah, I did make some progress there. Cool, right? But what you really want to track are okay, I've been working at this for 3 weeks, right? Or for me in January, I was like, all right, I'm back in January. I lost the weight, from the holidays really quickly. I'm back into my routine. And I've been doing this for 3 weeks. I've been committing to it, and I'm not seeing movement. That's a really, really good time to just take stock of what you're doing, right? And in my case, it was, well, you know what? The thing I've been avoiding is the food. I guess I got to address the food, right? And here's the thing. For a really long time, I was not ready to address the food. I just emotionally wasn't there. New York, like food is just weird in New York City because you don't really go to the grocery store in the same way, except like it's always busy and a lot of people, you just eat out all the time and you grab deli sandwiches and deli salads, and it's a weird ecosystem. And so I moved to LA and I was like, let me, literally, like one of my mantras is like, I need to pretend that I'm a 19-year-old girl learning how to adult at all for the first time. Like that is the standard to which I am holding myself when it comes to like going to bed on time, cooking, taking showers every day, like that basic shit. That's the standard I'm holding myself to. And I just wasn't in a position, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, anything to actually address the food issue. And then 6 months after I moved here, started to feel a little more settled, started to not feel as, high stakes about everything. Again, refer to my video about the urgency game. Now I'm like, okay, yep, this is it. Now's the time. We're talking about food. We're talking about food, right? So as sort of my big takeaways here, be gentle with yourself. If you're undertaking a big task, be ready to do emotional work. Look, I love Jocko as much as anybody. I love Jocko, and I love listening to these double masculine, like badass motherfucker type dudes, right? I love those guys because they're incredibly inspiring to me as somebody who is trying to grow his Aries rising side, if you want to put it that way. But like that sort of rhetoric can get really demeaning really quickly, and it's very easy to feel like, I remember Gary Vee, he hadn't said this in a while, I don't think, but one of his big sayings was like, eat shit for 2 years so you can have caviar for the rest of your life. Like, you don't have to eat shit. You can just, eat normal food. You can eat chicken salads. It's fine. It's really fine. You're okay. I promise you're okay. Right? So be gentle with yourself. Be ready to do emotional work. Be ready to do auxiliary work that you weren't expecting to do, right? And being able to go, okay, working on this weight loss goal, right? This fitness goal has a lot of moving parts to it. All right, so the beginning of the year, right, in January, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna fucking get my sleep schedule on point. That's it. I'm not tracking food. I'm not tracking water. I'm not tracking anything except getting my sleep schedule to how I want it. Then that opened up this other facet of like, fuck, I got to deal with the technology. I got to deal with the tech addiction. All right. Yeah, we're scrubbing the phone. We're doing the Cal Newport thing. We are reeling back the digital interactions. Again, to bring it back to the coronavirus, that's about to go out the fucking window because I need social interaction. And if we're all quarantined, then that's going to be tough. Right. But like, that's a thing. So like that opened up that component. Right. And then getting rid of the technology made me realize I needed to address my anxiety. Right. And then as my anxiety went down, that opened up space to devote mental energy toward what I consume. And then devoting mental energy to what I consume opened up these other, it really is all super duper interconnected. And it's not, when we say like nothing is linear, that's the other side of it, right? It isn't just when you're rolling with the homies and trending upward while rolling with the homies. There is this component of like, all right, I'm aiming at this thing, but I got to do this thing first. All right, let me loop around and then bring this thing back in. All right, great. Now we're chugging along. All right, let's loop and bring this, right? It's like you're herding cattle. You're like, no, hang on, got to get that cow real quick. And you're sort of keeping the other cows in line while you wrangle the other one. You do the rustle in the herd, and then you move them down the line. You get that little stray, and then all right, well, this one's about to give birth. Oh shit, we got to deal with that, right? Like, so you're always like, it's loose, it's messy, it's not, Fortune 500. You're just like going. But you are moving, you're trending in a direction, you're bringing in things, you're gathering, you're organizing, you're just sort of keeping it, sort of this like amorphous amoeba-like thing that's slowly moving you towards your goal. And that's how you can really track, like, okay, I have been doing this same thing for what feels like too long. Let me take a step back and see if I'm really not making progress. And if you take a step back and you're like, oh shit, you know what? I have been making progress. We're good. Keep on keeping on, man. Like, you're good. But if you take a step back after 3 weeks and you're like, literally nothing has changed in 3 weeks. Okay. Don't freak out. Don't panic. Go back to what you were doing and then slowly start to figure out, okay, what do I need to build in? What can I start to layer in that'll improve this trajectory that I know that I want to be on, because it will lead me to the goal that I ultimately want to achieve. All right, that's all I got for today. Be sure to wash your hands. Please take coronavirus seriously. It's not Mad Max apocalypse, but like, don't go to shows, don't go to movies, don't like limit your proximity, like don't go into stadiums. Like, it's fine. It's just a month. It's just a month. Do what you got to do to like live your life and not die and make money, whatever. But like, please do stay safe, wash your hands, take care of each other out there. And obviously be sure to like and subscribe and, tell all your friends, especially as we're moving more into this sort of life advice type videos, which I'm really excited about. I'd love to get to know more of you if possible. All right, that's all I got for today. Have a good one, and I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Bye.